conducted by Class 9A on the topic Our Founder, Blessed Edmund Ignatius Rice. As students of Christian Brothers School, we are, in a sense, his living biography. The story of Edmund Rice is very pertinent to day and time. Edmund's life was based on suffering, failure, rejection, which is a necessary sharing of the way, the truth, and the life that leads to holiness. Edmund was a man of love and compassion. Here is a prayer of compassion.
O God, compassionate one, I pray for a compassionate heart.
I pray for compassionate eyes to see what your eyes see.
I pray for a heart that is willing to expand with your compassion, with your love.
I pray for compassionate ears to hear what your ears hear.
I pray that my desire and my attempts to live compassionately will encourage others to be compassionate until our world is filled with compassionate people who have your compassionate heart pulsing through us.
I pray for a heart that is gentle with myself when I fail to be compassionate. O God, compassionate one. Amen.
Now, we are going to present a video on the journey of our founder, Blessed Edmund Rice.
You were sent to serve God's people, enriching lives of youth. You strove with vision for justice, mercy, and truth, teaching us compassion, living with the poor. We love you, Blessed Edmund Rice. We praise you evermore. Edmund Ignatius Rice was an Irishman who founded the Christian Brothers and the Presentation Brothers, religious communities of Catholic men who forged a system of education for the underprivileged youth. Edmund's story begins in the 18th century Ireland, a country marked by a tragic history of religious intolerance and persecution of its Catholic population. Edmund was born in 1762 into a comfortably well-off family, the fourth son of Robert and Margaret Rice. Edmund's mother was committed to the Catholic faith and generously assisted the poor and the destitute. It could be said that Edmund inherited her deep spirituality and a heart for the poor. Edmund's childhood was greatly influenced by the spiritual teachings of an Augustinian priest, Father Paddy Grace. As an Irish Catholic youth, Edmund was one of the few fortunate enough to have received a good education. Edmund became an apprentice in his uncle's business, providing supplies to ships that docked at the port city of Waterford. However, Edmund never forgot his prayers or the poor. He invited captains of ships to say the rosary with him for the safety of the voyage. Edmund felt very strongly for the poor. After the famine of 1783, the starving flocked to the city. Edmund took the poor to his home to feed and instruct them. His heart went out to the children. At the age of 23, he married Mary Elliot, the daughter of a wealthy man. Mary helped Edmund in his many works of charity, and soon they were very happy. Their home in Ballybrackens was open to poor young people. Mary gave them food, and Edmund tried to educate them. After a short few years, the shadow of the cross fell on Edmund. When Mary was well advanced with the child, she was thrown off a horse in an accident. Mary died as a result of the injuries. Their infant daughter, also named Mary, was born prematurely and was a lifelong invalid. Mary's death plunged Edmund into a new journey of grieving, healing, and re-evaluating his life's direction. He is known to have said, "The Lord gave, and the Lord taketh away. So blessed be his name forever and ever." After his personal tragedy, Edmund threw himself more than ever into what he had left, his career and especially his faith. As he grew richer, he became more and more charitable. Edmund's love for his disabled daughter Mary was perhaps a significant factor in determining the orientation of his life. He became more sensitive to the plight of the little ones who were disadvantaged. His own depth of prayer and thought made him realize that by locking himself up with God, he would exclude the Lord who was to be found in the poor and the street children. A task as radical as this demanded a radical commitment. In 1795, God answered his prayer for enlightenment as to how this task was to be done. He heard about the Presentation Sisters begun by an Irish woman, Nainital. They combined a communal lifestyle, intense prayer, and devoted service to the poor. The presentation pattern of community living was to be Edmund Rice's model. In 1796, he acted. He sought and received papal approval for his intention to begin the new religious order. In 1802, Edmund had some stables converted into a makeshift school for Waterford's street boys. Drawing from his own personal and financial resources, Edmund began building a purpose-built school in Waterford, which he called Mount Zion. As the little community of brothers grew, Edmund's school was busy indeed. In 1808, Edmund and 7 companions took their first vows. By 1809, the brothers were overseeing 700 children in their Mount Zion school. Papal approval arrived in 1821. On 20th January 1822, 19 brothers took the final vows, and Edmund Rice was elected the first Superior General, and so was started the Congregation of Christian Brothers. From these humble beginnings, the mission of Edmund Rice spread to 25 countries. Edmund Rice died on 28 August 1844 in Waterford. The news of his death was met with an outpouring of grief and public accolades for his personal qualities and for the significance of his work for the social and political development of Ireland. Edmund Rice, the tireless champion of the poor, was recognized by Catholic and Protestant alike. In 1996, Edmund Rice was beatified by Pope John Paul II. A person titled Blessed or Saint is a beacon of hope who calls people of God to live their vocation and mission more authentically. The brothers conduct orphanages and schools for the poor, universities and colleges of education. They run schools for the deaf and blind, technical schools and agricultural colleges. Edmund Ignatius Rice still lives in the noble band of Christian brothers to whom he has bequeathed his spirit and his work.
Of the humans. It provides a disciplined, safe atmosphere in which students are free to grow and learn the lessons of love and compassion. Respect the dignity of each individual. It also includes advocacy and education for peace and justice, care for the earth, and global awareness. Let us see the 8 essentials of Edmund Rice Schools through a PowerPoint presentation.
School as good news. A school is a happy place where all are treated with respect and students look forward to coming to school. There's a spirit of openness and honesty in all relationships.
Awareness of God in your life. Nurturing a living, fostering spirituality. Living beyond the material classrooms. There is a spirit of respect for all religions.
Building up of a school community. Growing as a school community in which the quality of care and relationships is value-based on mutual respect, self-sacrifice and full human dignity.
Compassion for those in need, showing in the spirit of Blessed Edmund Rice, particularly love and concern towards the weakest members of the school community, reaching out beyond the school in compassion and practical action for the poor and marginalized both locally and internationally.
Concern for the whole person, centering the curriculum, opportunities and challenges of the school based on the balanced and integrated development of its students and staff across all the positive dimensions of personal growth.
Striving for excellence, encouraging each individual to use his talents to the fullest, whether academic, cultural or physical, and pursuing the high standards in all the aspects of learning, teaching and extracurricular endeavors.
Teaching as a call from God, valuing and enabling the role and vocation of Edmund Rice teachers and support staff as a calling from God, sharing in the mission of world.
Education for justice, inspiring the minds and hearts of the young to care for all of God's creation and build a more just society, developing in them the talents for active citizenship and transformational leadership.
Let us conclude our assembly with a short prayer.
The story of Blessed Edmund Rice has inspired generations of people across the world. Among the values that we cherish from his tradition are his generosity, his courage, his humanity, his love of God, his practical reaching out to the poor and oppressed, and his absolute trust in God's providence. Let us strive to cultivate some of these virtues, as this will be the greatest tribute to our founder, Edmund Ignatius Rice. Loving God, you shine through the life of Edmund Rice in the way he treated the least of people with the greatest respect. Dismantle my defenses, my fears, open my eyes to see your presence in the people around me, especially where I least expect it. Help me, Lord, to listen to you by being attentive to those who speak with your love. Think of your thoughts, see with your vision, and act with your grace. Amen.
Good morning. As we saw, our founder, Blessed Edmund Ignatius Rice, was a successful businessman who sold all his business in order to educate the poor who had no access to schooling. He laid the foundation of schooling system or education system where dignity and uniqueness of each child is respected. Edmund identified education as the key to survival, and he believed each student can become an agent for change in the society. So I invite each student present here to become an agent of change by disciplining your life and protecting the environment, providing social justice, human rights, and so on. Enjoy the opportunity that is provided to you by taking this education in an Edmund Rice school and spread the vision of our founder, Edmund Ignatius Rice. Thank you.